Hey guys, it's me Kevin and welcome back to another one of my AFL videos, and again I'll be talking about the AFL fixture because the new AFL fixture for the 2022 AFL season has been released, so I'll be analysing that fixture, pick up what's good and bad about it, and analyse how the fixture impacts your team's performance or could impact your team's performance for 2022. So the AFL has released the exact scheduling, including the time slots for the first 9 rounds, before leaving rounds 10 to 23 as a floating fixture, which I think is a good idea because it allows teams that are performing well in the halfway mark of the season to get good slots at the back half of the season. As for the first 9 rounds, there's a few good aspects, but there is still definitely a lot to be desired with. The first thing I can't make sense about is the different starting times at the same time of the day from round to round. I mean, for example, you take the Sunday night games in WA to start the season. You got one at 4:40, one at 3:10, and then one at 4:10. I mean, at 3 different times in the first 3 rounds. I mean, what's going on there? And I mean, even in the next round, Fremantle play GWS at Saturday night, 5:25. And then 2 rounds later, play Carlton at 5:40. I mean, what's with the differing times there? Just pick a time and stick to it, okay? At any time of the day, pick a time and stick to it. It's the same with the Friday night games. Most of them start at 7:50, and then you got Melbourne and Essendon, which starts at 7:20. What's going on there? Or Port Adelaide Dogs at 5:40 p.m. Like, I don't understand that. You should probably pick a time for each time of the day and stick to that. It makes things easier for the fans, because right now it's just confusing. Like, fans don't know the exact time for each game from round to round. And speaking of Friday night, the AFL has decided to do something new by having 2 Friday games run at the same time, which I don't really like, because Friday night is traditionally a standalone night for 2 teams that are doing well in the AFL to play a high-rating game against each other in front of a national audience. I just feel that having 2 games run at the same time, it ruins that sort of prime time sort of lure, you know, that sort of rating, that high rating slot. It kind of ruins it. And I mean, the AFL says, it's because of clashes in the weekend due to the AFLW Grand Final on Mother's Day. No, not really. Just play an extra game on Sunday in the AFLW Grand Final week, and in Mother's Day, just play an extra game on the Saturday. Don't ruin the Friday night slot. They shouldn't leave the Friday night slot alone for the 2 highest rating games of the round. And also, they need to stop doing double headers on Good Friday and just have the North Melbourne Western Bulldogs game at the same time as all the other Friday night games. I mean, for one, playing in the afternoon means that Christians like myself cannot watch the game because we're at church. But more, not thinking about this on my religious views, I'm thinking about this more on a financial view, where they're playing in the middle of the day, where generally footy is not as well watched as it is at night. I mean, everyone's watching at night. So it's a marquee game, the Good Friday game. They should play that in the normal Friday night slot. And the other thing I'd like to see the AFL do with the Easter round, which they have never done before, is have a permanent Easter Sunday fixture, which I reckon should be between St Kilda and Richmond at Marvel Stadium. Why St Kilda? Because they're the only team in Victoria not to be involved in a marquee game, especially if the Bulldogs and North get the Good Friday game. And so I reckon Richmond would be a good fit with them in that game, because they've definitely played in a lot of charity games with the whole Rewalt Foundation, and they've also had a pretty good history on Friday night footy. So I reckon those 2 teams would be a good fit to play on the Easter Sunday fixture. Have it at 3:20 in front of a national audience on Channel 7, almost as a standalone slot. If you want to have a Sunday night game after that at 6:10, sure, but have it prime time. I reckon the AFL could do that. They can also have a prime time game with North Melbourne, the Bulldogs, at 7:50 p.m. or 7:20 p.m. if I had my way, in front of a national audience on the Good Friday. While it's good to see Sydney play their first 2 games in Sydney, so Lance Franklin can kick his 1,000th goal in front of his fans, and whilst the round 1 game against the Giants was a good fit and playing on a Friday night in round 2 was a good idea, I would have wished it was against Hawthorn and not Geelong. However, apart from the Geelong mishap, I think the rest of it, scheduling around Lance Franklin, seemed alright. What I also applaud with the AFL is the return of the Holy Thursday game to Brisbane to face off Collingwood at the Gabba. Whilst I also applaud them for having a pretty good quality, I'd say, Anzac game in Launceston between Hawthorn and Sydney, although I would have preferred if that was on the Friday night game round 2. I guess in isolation, it's pretty good matchup for an Anzac game, I'd say. However, I was expecting a few more higher quality sides than just the Bulldogs, Geelong and Sydney to head off to Tasmania, so I think the AFL may have missed the mark there. It's good news for Northern Territory fans, however. Darwin will get 2 games as opposed to the usual one against Hawthorn and North Melbourne, both playing the Suns, while Alice Springs will also get a game between Melbourne and Port Adelaide. So after having no footy last year, footy will return to the Territory this year. Now, the fun stuff. How does the fixture fare for your club? I would say with the double ups, I'd say there are 4 clear teams which lose out badly. Those being Essendon, Fremantle, GWS and St Kilda. Essendon and GWS probably was a bit expected. They only just scraped into the finals last year, but GWS especially were classed as a top 6 side because they won the elimination final. While Essendon, their reward for making finals was apparently getting a shocking fixture, having to play Port Adelaide, Brisbane and Sydney twice. And furthermore, they also were forced to play Richmond, who are expected to rise again. And St Kilda. Oh, you hate to be a Saints fan, okay? They had a shocking fixture last year, and probably the only positive fixture, the only positive thing you could say about their fixture this year is it wasn't as bad as last year's, but not by much. They are still forced to play Geelong and Brisbane, as well as Sydney, 3 of the top 6 teams from last year, the true top 6. Let's swap Giants and Sydney around. Plus, they have to play a probably improving Fremantle, but with the fixture, I'm really not sure now, because I thought Essendon would be up around the mark again, and Saints and Freo would improve, but their fixture's probably going to make things difficult for them. GWS, my opinion that slide is only reinforced. Then you've got teams like Carlton and the Eagles that can rebound pretty easily. They both play Freo, Richmond and Adelaide, and another bottom 6 side. So yeah, and in the case of Carlton, they only play the Giants, who are going to be one of the biggest sliders this year. So Carlton have got it pretty easy if they want to climb up the ladder. And the Eagles could also bounce back as well. It's the same story with Richmond. They can bounce back pretty easily. They only play Port Adelaide, and is the only top 6 side they play. However, they do have to play Essendon, and they do have to play West Coast. Although I don't know if West Coast will, even with the easy fixture, if they're going to be really much of a difficult proposition this year. So yeah, and then they also play 2 bottom 6 teams twice. So yeah, Richmond definitely should be bouncing back next year. Out of the top 6 sides, it seems like Brisbane have got it the easiest. Yes, they have to play Melbourne twice, but out of the top 6, that's it. Yes, they do play Giants and Essendon, but they also play St Kilda and Gold Coast, so they should be alright there. And it's the same story with Sydney. They only really have to play the Western Bulldogs out of the top 6. They also have to play Giants and Essendon, however, but those 2 teams seem to have it easier than their fellow contenders and should push up for a high position on the ladder. Unsurprisingly, Melbourne and the Bulldogs have the 2 difficult fixtures, but after making the grand final last year, it's probably expected. And to be honest, I wouldn't really freak out if I was a Melbourne fan, because you could probably pair up all the other top 6 teams to play Melbourne twice, and they'd probably still win the minor premiership, given how strong their team is. If I had to categorise all the team into winners, unaffected and losers in terms of the fixture, I'd say the winners are Brisbane, Carlton, Gold Coast, Richmond, Sydney and West Coast, all having easy fixtures for their relative skill level. The meh sort of fixtures are Adelaide, Collingwood, Geelong, Hawthorn and Port Adelaide. I mean, doesn't really matter. And the big losers are Essendon, Freo, GWS, North Melbourne, St Kilda, and technically throw Melbourne and the Bulldogs in there, even though it's probably up to their skill level. Oh, and one more thing, it seems like the AFL is trying to have another minor grand final this year. They had one with Geelong in Melbourne, and it was an absolute cracker with Max Gawn kicking after the siren to clinch the minor premiership off Geelong. Unfortunately, there was no crowd at GMHBA Stadium, so hopefully there'll be a crowd at this year's minor grand final between Melbourne and Brisbane, who are the two most likely sides to finish in the top two this year. And hopefully, if it's mathematically possible for both teams to snatch the trophy off each other, it would be a cracking minor premiership decider for round 23, just like last year's. Hopefully this time with more crowds and a better atmosphere. So I hope you like my analysis of the 2022 AFL fixture. If you like this video, please like, please subscribe. Comment what you think of my video down below and what you think of the AFL fixture. Check out some of my other videos and I'll see you in my next video. Goodbye.